to your image. This is a cool and refreshing day we are having around this world. I'd like to formally welcome you back into our program, Your Image. And today we are having a topic, Ash NSAS protest, 1 year after. Any lessons? If we reflect, we have some complaints here and there, people agitating, people complaining of certain excesses from some quarters, either from the citizens or from the agencies of government. And when we juxtapose, everybody feel justified that they have taken an appropriate action. But today, we'll be looking at how we can have a better organized environment, how people can be able to proactively engage each other, and how we can have a society that will be lawful, a society that will engender peace, a society that will enable development and make us to grow as a civil society. Today I'm having once again a veteran public relations practitioner, a journalist of note, and also a former chief press secretary to the government of the state, in the person of Pastor Dari Folani. You are welcome, sir.
Good evening, viewer. Thanks for having me.
I must acknowledge that we are really enjoying you.
Thanks for having me.
And we pray that you'll be more resourceful to the society.
Amen.
And I also have with me another Folani. I'm having two Folanis here. And Mr. Jami Folani is a mass communication lecturer with the Crescent University, Abeokuta here.
Good evening, viewers.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much for having me on this.
It's a pleasure having you. Today, the topic, of course, in this October, we just had an 1 year anniversary of the NSAS protest. And we will not go into all the details, but we are looking at how can we move forward? How can the society be organized in a way that things will shape up? We will become a developed entity, a developed society, a developed nation. And Pastor Folani, can you look back and reflect and give us what have been the reasons for protest? Are protests unique in this environment? Or is it that the approach that is different, that is making things to be approached the way it is approached?
Thank you very much. In the society, first, there is this social contract that we have. You know, government will provide security and the citizens will obey. So in this social contract, that's why we have the police force and other security agencies to provide, to secure lives and property. And in doing it, there are bound to be conflicts. In any situation, you know, you have conflict. That's why, but you have conflict resolution strategies. And then, you know, even it is said in Yoruba that the tongue and the mouth do fight, but they resolve it, and you still continue to have it. So conflicts and protests are not peculiar to Nigeria. It happens everywhere when people are not satisfied or getting joy from any activity.
But so, is it our approach that is different?
Yeah, it is the approach. That's what I'm saying. That you need to organize. You know, if you are not satisfied with anything or you are not getting joy from anything, rather than agonizing, organize. You know, don't agonize, organize. So in organizing, you need strategies. It is often said that wars are won by skillful strategies. So you deploy your strategies. One of the strategies is street protest. The Special Anti-Robbery Squad, SARS, was created in 1992. And you know, because of some of the dissatisfaction of citizens, in 2017 they started the hashtag NSAS agitation. And you know, from 2017 and in 2020 last year, the protest left the social media, and you know, they took it to the streets. And you know, you all know what happened last year. And they had 5-point demands. Even the governor of Lagos State joined them, and it was going on well. They were asking the youth, bring your leaders. They said they don't have a leader. So it dragged on and on until it was unfortunately hijacked, and we had all those casualties on both sides. So now we need to go forward. We need to organize better. You know, our youth need to come up higher, you know, by organizing better. It's not just protest for protest's sake. There is an aim for having protest. You have an objective for having protest, and that objective must be kept in view, in focus at all times.
Are you saying that it is youth inclined?
The nature of the society we have is such that when people are dissatisfied, they express this particular opinion in various ways. And protest by itself will not start until certain things happened. For example, there must have been complaints. Complaint will lead to grievances, and from grievances we'll be talking about conflicts. So for protest to happen, it must have passed through those three stages. From issue of complaint, issue of grievances, then we talk about conflict. So talking about the youth will definitely be involved, because when we talk about issue of protest and crime in Nigeria, and the police, those that are that are affected most are the youth, because when you look at the anti-SARS that the youth complain about, most of these youth are detained unlawfully. Some of them are affected in one way or the other because of the activities of the police. So the youth will be involved because they are trying to make complaint to ensure that their rights are not trampled upon. So by nature, the nature of the youth is such that they have this exuberance. And as a result of it, when they are making complaint and making their grievances known, there's a possibility that they overstep their bound. But notwithstanding, whether they overstep their bound or not, they've made their opinion known about what is happening concerning issue of human rights in relation to the police. So this is what the government must respond to in order to have a peaceful environment. The youth are tomorrow's leader. We say they are tomorrow's leaders, but for them to be tomorrow's leader, they must cultivate the habit of protecting their rights, and they have that constitutional responsibility. Just like we have in Part 2 of the 1999 Constitution, that gave the government that responsibility to provide amenities, to provide security to the people. So the youth must call the government to question that if they are found wanting in their responsibility of providing security. And if you look at the population of the country, we have larger number of youths, and as a result of it, things cannot be happening keeping quiet. What is the essence of knowledge they've acquired in school? What is the essence of the training they've passed through? So that's what I think engineer the reason why youth are the drivers of the hashtag EndSARS protest, because they are enlightened, they know what is happening around the world, and they want that order, just like Mr. Falari mentioned about social contract, that the government signed a social contract with the people, and as enshrined in the Part 2 of the 1999 Constitution, that it is the duty of the government to provide security to the members of the public. So if this is not done, and even the police or the security agency that's supposed to protect the right of the people, protect the sanctity of the right of the people, are found wanting, then they have the right to protest, and that's why you find more of the youth participating in the last year to EndSARS protest.
Yes, more of the youth are the frontliners. But when you look at the society generally, you even see some professionals. Look at the lawyers. Look at even some other non-governmental organizations.
The lawyers, there are young lawyers. You know, it's the energy of the youth. We have young lawyers.
Is he young?
No, I mean he's not too young, but you know the energy of the youth. There are other young, the NBA. They have the young.
No, I mentioned Falana because I said, you know, we are looking at it as if
it's the youth that will lead the protest.
I think it's a societal issue.
No, all over the world, the youth
are being affected.
The youth have the energy, and they are the ones. In Nigeria, our population, our demographic.
And when there is a breach of the law, either from an individual or from the agency of government, then people have to talk.
Well, you know, even in breach of laws, it's the youth that are involved most of the times. You know, the age range of those people who commit crime are usually, you know, some of them are involved, and with the elders there as the Baba Saleh. Well, so what we are saying is that the youth need guidance, you know, for the energy. You know, that energy should be channeled towards productive ventures. You know, the Arab Spring and all the things that happened, it was the youth who led this protest. When you are asking for better environment, any cause at all, the youth, they have the energy, they have the numbers. So that's why we are saying, for a new Nigeria to emerge, you know, our youths need to organize. They need to come together, channel this energy towards productive ventures so that we can move this country forward.
I do agree with you that when we look at the landscape, youth takes the larger chunk. And when you look at them, they are in businesses, they are in schools, they are the people who are really working.
They are in parks.
They are energetic. They are creative. They are the powerhouse of the nation, of any nation. And then when things are happening and there is not enough conformity with the laws of the land, some people have to speak. And I believe that with the way things are, the agencies of government too, are they really doing what they are supposed to do? It's not only it's not police alone that are in this issue. When you look at even people at the governmental level who are with policies, coming up with the laws of the land, and you give the police the authority to enforce. Right, in the enforcement, there are laws and there are limits.
And procedures. That must be followed.
So if that procedure is breached, can we then blame anybody for taking up the gauntlet and say that we do not agree with the government? And of course, people target as issue of bad governance. If citizens are complaining that people cannot run their businesses normally, maybe part of the agency of government will just encroach into the operations of the business and say they have breached the laws. That is the cumulative effect of what has happened, because it affects the economy, it affects our development, and it affects all other things. And when there is no peace in the nation, of course, we are supposed to have what we are. And there was a complaint in 2014, the NSAS people or whatever was disbanded. In 2015, it was disbanded. In 2017, it was disbanded. In 2020, October, when the issues arose, it was also disbanded. What is the problem? Why can't we have a system that can run perfectly?
I think basically what you've just mentioned, we are looking at the outcome of what happened. We are not looking at the foundation. Okay. We have an institutional problem in this country. Many of our institutions are not solid enough to be able to withstand and provide the necessary and quality leadership and services expected. For example, you mentioned the issue of law. When the law is not the major problem we have in this country, just like I always say, the major challenge is the implementation. We have great ideas in this country. In fact, there's someone that even make this joke that it's high time that we export our ideas and import implementation. Mm-hmm. So someone said, you've been talking about a lot of problems. Your government is so large. You set up this committee, and don't you think that you should look at alternative ways of addressing the issue than setting up committee for every issue? And he said, okay, I will set up committee to look at that again. That's just to tell you the extent to which we have issue in terms of implementation. We have great ideas, even our laws. That's why I don't buy the idea most of the agitation about constitutional amendment is good, but that might not be the actual solution. With the bad constitution we have, so to say, if we implement it as it's supposed to be, then we achieve greatly. But issue of institution, that's our issue. That's the problem. Until we address the issue of institutional problem in our country, we'll still be having issue relating to abuse of human rights by police and issue of corruption, among other challenges we are having in our society. So building a viral and good institution is the solution to the problem we have identified.
So what's the way forward? Building a viral, entrenched, and structured institution.
It's to carry everybody along, you know. All stakeholders must be carried along, and carried along in a civil and you know, democratic way. We are running a democracy, you know. We must be civil. That's our law enforcement agents too must be civil. We are talking about what happened overseas when a culprit is being arrested, when somebody who has committed a crime, a criminal, is being arrested. The officers are civil. Please, this way, sir. Do this, sir, in a civil manner. You know, until when you are violent or something, that's when they use minimum force. You know, it's even qualified. So we, like the youth have been asking, you know, we need to test the mental and psychological makeup of some of our law enforcement agents. You know, because if somebody is not okay mentally, the way we address people, you know, we'll be using maximum force for a civil something. If there is a protest, you know, there are ways and means. In fact, I was happy that we saw women police officers being brought out. You know, women are more, you know, when they are handling it, they are more diplomatic. So we saw them then in Lagos too. We saw how it was handled. The commissioner of police was on the street. It was with them, and they told him that they will have a drive-through. So they were managed until some few skirmishes, you know, like the case with the This Day reporter, you know, stand back, don't move close to me. So this is the way forward, you know. We have to carry everybody along. There's a constitution. We have to do things constitutionally. And when any constitutional right is, you know, breached, there's the law court there. So we need to test our laws. You know, that's if you are aggrieved, go to the court.
As a lecturer, you are the one teaching us that reporting can be dangerous and it can be good, and that when good news are to be brought, you have to be at the location, the frontal space where action is. Will you now consider those journalists who are at the frontal areas of the operation, of the protest? Will you now consider them to be doing something illegal? Why I say that is that when you look at the legit TV person, journalist, who was manhandled, and some other, I think, Arise and Arise journalists who are also accosted. What will you say to that?
We, in the academics, we've been advocating and discussing this issue you talked about. Issue of conflict-sensitive reporting, and when you talk about conflict reporting, you need to be, the first thing is safety. As a journalist, your safety matters a lot. The story is not most important than your life. Your life is more important than the story.
Absolutely.
And as a result of that, there is always, in this case, journalists are victims one way or the other. That's one I must tell the profession has its own hazard. And one of the hazards of journalism profession is when you attend protests, you are bound to be affected one way or the other from tear gas, from bullet wounds, among others. But notwithstanding, it has been agitation and claim by non-governmental organization and advocacy that journalists must be protected, and there must be some level of.
Are they protected in this case?
When you talk about protection, you know there are consequences for every action, and the police might not. I cannot say police will deliberately attack journalists, but in the, some can be overzealous, right? Some can be overzealous, but when you cover protests, there is need for journalists to have that training that your safety first. Ensure that you put everything in place to ensure that you carry and cover the events, report the event from the vantage of safety, not necessarily wanting to get the story first. But when you look at the protest, what happened in SARS, journalists were affected. Even the one year anniversary, so just like you mentioned, some of them are harassed one way or the other. I think he mentioned it already that there's need for the security agents to be civil in the handling and relationship, and we need to train our police officers, security agencies, to maintain some level of civility in engagement with protesters, with journalists.
But I want to say, before you come in, you know, this is a very sensitive area we are discussing. The area of safety first. And when you look at the nature of reporting, how do you juxtapose that a reporter should be so much careful to the extent that that juicy aspect of the report?
I'm coming in war situations. You know, you have your vest with press emblazoned on it. So you are clear. I mean, you come out. That's why if some courses they ask you to come out. Don't, you know, because the tip of your camera, when you are hiding, the tip of the camera, you look like a gun, something. They think that that's a gun. So come out as the press, you know, clearly emblazoned. Then you come out, you carry out that you are reporting. And with so once they tell you go, they ask you to go. They don't know. You know that that's a no-go area. You run away.
Yeah, it is that go area that I really want us to trash. Okay. It is universal. Look at Amampo or CNN. You will see that they are always at the very edge of the event, of the incident, and you get the hot news.
Like you said, that's one of the hazards of the profession.
Should we not find a way of addressing those agencies of government that are being overzealous? Should we not come up with strategies?
That's what led to the NSAS protest, and you can see that you know, rather than what happened last year, this is a marked improvement. You know, we are just talking about the one anniversary.
And also that there's a car possession.
Yes, you can see that there is much improvement in the police youth relationship. You know, they handled it better. Though there were a few cases, but they handled it better. We must commend our Nigerian police force.
Well, in addition, you know, these days people, especially journalists, in terms of safety, we have technology these days. You don't need to attend physically to a protest. We have drone, we have a camera that you don't need to take to, you'll be at your safe place and you operate your camera. So there are safety measures available to journalists these days so that they will not fall victim of harassment, they will not fall victim in terms of when it comes to war zone or protest.
Thank you very much for that, because we are looking at lessons learned. We must be advancing. We must come up with new and creative ideas, new approach to getting things done. And this is still your image. Please join us on DSTV 260, GoTV 100, Starter 113, and this space is available for sponsorship. Every Thursday we are here. Pastor Folari, can we have your last shot?
Okay. Well, I am happy that there is a marked improvement, but we are not there yet. Our policemen should be more civil when, you know, handling civil protests. You know, it is the right of the citizens to express their dissatisfaction with whatever it is happening. And once the protest is civil, the policemen should ensure that they are not infiltrated, that the protest is not hijacked, so that the aim and objective of having a better society can be achieved.
Okay, thank you. We don't need to wait till when the fire bursts. In public relations, we talk about fire brigade approach and being proactive. So we need to be proactive. The government and the security agencies need to be proactive to ensure that they engage with citizens in civil way, so that they take care of their complaint, they take care of their grievances, so that it will not lead to conflict. And we must also ensure that we take to the advice of Frank Jeffkin that talks about conversion of negative situation to positive situation. So it's the responsibility of the government, the security agencies, to redeem its image and ensure that it's well accepted in the society.
Thank you very much. Well, it is left to all the stakeholders in the society, whether government agency, whether the youth, whether even non-governmental organizations, we need to come up with a more proactive, more visionary steps to engaging each other. It is our place, it is a nation that we must be together. And of course, let's continue to engender peace. Let's continue to engender development. Let us continue to be more creative and do great things together. Until next week, when we come your way, same time, have a good time.